What's up, everybody? Christian Ballard here with Ballard Sports Media, coming at you with another college football preview video today. Looking ahead to the 2020 season, we're going to be previewing some teams over the spring and the summer, heading into the fall and everything. We'll look at some team schedules, some potential playoff contenders, bowl game contenders, whatever. And we're going to break it down game by game. Not going to predict scores or anything, but just kind of run through the schedule a little bit, talk about the team, what to look out for, and everything. And today is the national champion runner-up, the Clemson Tigers. Clemson coming off a 14-1 season, going on a very long winning streak, the longest in the nation, people kept calling it. You look back at last year, they just dominated everybody they played except, they had a close call against North Carolina. Of course, people talked about that game, and, you remember last year, of course, going into last season, they blew out Alabama in the championship. Trevor Lawrence was the Heisman favorite to be. He was going to win the Heisman. He was going to, win another championship. He was going to set records. He was going to win this award and that award. He was going to be the greatest football player to ever step foot on a field, right? Now, I think he's still one of the best, obviously, right? No one's unbeatable. But they had some close calls. You look at, last year, in the opener, I remember hearing people. Of course, they beat Georgia Tech 52-14 in the opener of last season, right? But I think he threw 2 interceptions or whatever. Didn't quite look like himself at first at the beginning of the game, and people were like, what's going on? And, it looked like it started to decline a little bit. Then he picked it back up, and then a North Carolina scare, 21-20 on the road against North Carolina. Probably should have blown him out, right? Offense was just out of sorts in that game. They still found a way to win it with a late stop, preventing a 2-point conversion by the Tar Heels. And, and of course, they just kept going. They got better every week. It just kind of shook it off. Trevor Lawrence was back to where he needed to be. I say needed to be, but where he wanted to be. And the whole offense, guys like T. Higgins, Justin Ross, they all started coming together. They were clicking a little bit. But it was not the season that they wanted, which they wanted to repeat as national champions. They failed to do that when they, and say whatever you want, 42-25, the final score of the championship against LSU. I consider that a blowout. What is that? Let's see, 42 minus 25, 17 points. It, at least on paper, looks like a blowout. But anyway, they're going to be trying to make another run at a championship, hopefully win it this year. Hopefully for them, in their minds. But anyway, so you look at the schedule. Of course, spring games coming up. They got theirs on April 4th. You go into the season, open up with the road game with Georgia Tech. Then you have 3 straight home games. Louisville, Akron, Virginia, on the road at Boston College, on the road at Florida State, home against NC State, home against Syracuse, get a bye week on Halloween. At Notre Dame, that's going to be a huge game to look out for. The Citadel at Wake Forest at home against the Gamecocks. So, and of course the ACC championship. So, let's just call it like it is. The ACC's garbage, right? Now, obviously, the ACC teams, you have a team like Florida State or whatever, been in the dumps the past couple years with Willie Taggart. They finally got rid of the guy. You look at it, and they're in Clemson's division, the Atlantic Conference. They play every team, so ACC team would play every single team in their division outside of them. Then they have, who do they get? cross-division rival or whatever you want to call it, I would assume. And then they also pick another team, right? You have ACC teams that are about 6-win teams that can make bowl games. And then you have some that are just out of sorts. But everybody, I mean, someone's got to win those games, right? Clemson can easily roll through it, right? Teams like Virginia or Virginia Tech, right? Like, you never know what's going to happen in that game. So the ACC is not that good of a conference. Does that make Clemson a bad team? Absolutely not. Right? But at the same time, you still kind of wonder. Again, I mentioned that North Carolina game last year. You still kind of wonder what's going on with them. They should have blown out North Carolina on the road. Honestly. They should have. They did not. So let's see. So again, looking at the schedule, it's not that strong. Now, however, you do have a couple interesting matchups, at least in road games, at Boston College, at Florida State, at Georgia Tech, at Notre Dame. The Notre Dame game is a game to watch out for. Notre Dame, of course, we know they don't play anybody. They don't even have a conference. But they're still one of those teams. I mean, they made the playoffs last year. They went 12-0. Yeah, you could say whatever you want. Oh, they got lucky. They don't have a conference. They had to get in, right? Notre Dame's always an unpredictable team. They always play different teams from different conferences because they're not on their own. Which is another thing. I really... Listen. They should be in this conference. Let me look at this real quick. FBS Independent. There are 6 teams, right? I get that's not enough for a whole conference. That's like half a conference right there, right? But come on, you can find some other teams and probably put them in there with them, and it could be their own conference, and they could actually have a conference. The fact that it's not a conference or anything is ridiculous. So, but Notre Dame is still a good team. But anyway, so Clemson, the ACC is just not very good. But at the same time, you only have bowl teams because someone's got to win those ACC games, right? And some teams are better than other teams. Like, Syracuse is one of those teams that's pretty decent. I mean, they beat Clemson a couple years ago. They almost beat them 2 years ago. It was a little different last year, but they've given teams a scare. They're very tough at home. So, when you look at it like that, yes, it's a tough, easy cupcake conference, but again, these games are not just going to end in a tie. So you look at the schedule. Again, at Georgia Tech, Louisville, Akron, Virginia, at Boston College, at Florida State. Hold on. Where was I? So, again, Syracuse is one of those teams that could win at home almost against any ACC team. They beat Clemson a couple years ago. You have teams that are really good. Or not like they're really good, but I mean the ACC is weak, but it's so interesting because everybody plays everybody, right? And you can almost do a coin flip for any game, right? So anyway, getting into their schedule, on this, I don't know if I see at least one game that could mess them up, and that's the Notre Dame game. We will see how Notre Dame does this year. And it's on the road. If this were at Clemson, it's not even close. Clemson's going to win it at home, right? But it's in Notre Dame, at Notre Dame Stadium. That's going to be an interesting game. That's a 7:30 game on November 7th. They get a bye week before that. Give them a chance to rest. And I think it kind of sets up perfectly because, again, Syracuse has given them a couple scares in the past couple years. You get Syracuse. Yes, it's at home, but then you get that bye week to kind of recover in case, you do have a slip up there, because Syracuse is one of those teams that's kind of unpredictable, right? It's crazy. And then you get a bye week, go into the Notre Dame game. Then the Citadel at Wake Forest, South Carolina at the end. So, uh, for Clemson, I'm looking at a 12-0 record, possibly 11-1. We'll see what happens with Notre Dame. I expect them to win it. I think it's going to be a great game to look out for. I think that they return quite a bit of talent. I mean, Justin Ross, Trevor Lawrence, ETN's coming back. He could have and probably should have went to the draft. A lot of people thought he would, but he comes back. You have T. Higgins, Justin Ross, Amari Rogers. You got the defensive side, Xavier Thomas, KJ Henry, Xavier Kelly, Isaiah Simmons. Isaiah Simmons actually going to the draft this year. AJ Terrell's going to the draft as well. Kayvon Wallace, I think. They do lose a couple guys on defense, but they recruited really well, and they'll be able to replace them. We'll see how it works out, but it looks like they're going to be playing some more young players on defense. So, but we will see what happens. Can they bounce back and have a bounce back season from the championship loss to LSU? I think so. They're going to try to make a run at it. They're going to make the playoffs. How far they get and who they play in the playoffs next year, we will see what happens as we get close to that. But, so I'm predicting Clemson to go 12-0. Another weak schedule, but one or two games probably could mess them up a little bit. We will see what happens. But anyway, so again, probably the Notre Dame game, most likely. So, but we will see. That's pretty much it for this video. If you're new, hit that subscribe button. If you enjoyed it, hit the like. Clemson fans, comment down below. Give me your thoughts. Whether you're a Clemson fan or not, comment down below. Give me your prediction and thoughts on the 2020 season for Clemson football. What do you expect? What's your record prediction? All that good stuff. So, but anyway. So again, that's pretty much it. Like, subscribe, comment, all that. And I will see you guys next time. Until then, Ballard Sports Media, checking out.